context. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Bergmann. If you went over to the Sim Gaming Expo channel to watch the Raider takeover that I was going to do, I am sorry, but my system crashed as soon as I went live, and as a result, there's an 18-second live stream over there. When I got my system back up and I tried to go live again, I basically did not get any sort of indication that I was live. So I had no idea. I couldn't find the stream. I couldn't interact with anybody, obviously. So I decided, as opposed to just call it a failed night, to just re-queue and come over here. So, any rate, Sim Gaming Expo, September 18th, 19th, and 20th, or just outside of Chicago, Illinois. I'm going to be there, as well as several other folks. If you're into sim gaming and you're watching this stream, so clearly you are into sim gaming, then that expo is one that's definitely worth not missing if you can make it. It's going to cover all aspects of sim gaming, from sim racing, ATS, sim driving, sim trucking. There's going to be a golf simulator. Here there's going to be possibly some model NASCAR RC cars. So they're going to have simulation racing, NASCAR racing in RC car variants, flight sim, train sim, lots of vendors, lots of stuff going on, lots of opportunity to check out things that maybe you can't afford, but you want to try them out, like motion rigs or high-end control equipment. And we're also going to do a barnyard community cultivator meetup on the afternoon of the 19th at the show. So that ought to be fun. Let's talk about FarmCon, people. Let's talk about FarmCon. I got to get my notes up. Alright, I got my notes. What's up, Steve the Farmer? How is Australia doing? How is your winter? So as I was saying right before the intro rolled, Giants did provide us partners the video of their map tour minus the demo in GE and the video of the gameplay, but nothing else. No text, no information about what's being shown on the screen. Just, here's the video, go make some content. Alright, so I did my best interpreting what I saw, speculating a lot, and doing a little bit of hopeful thinking. But this last week, Giants did release the map presentation and the gameplay presentation from FarmCon. So we got to see that same video and now hear the context as to what's going on. And a lot of the questions I had and speculated were somewhat answered. And to me, it's a little frustrating because had we been provided that context, then I could have provided that clear information up front, as opposed to speculating and in some degree providing possibly incorrect information. But this is what we know now. As was shown in the video. If you haven't watched the video, I can try to play it. Giants provided us some crazy high bitrate 4K video that may or may not play very well on my system while I'm trying to also encode stream. So I might not be able to play it for you. At least not now, and I didn't have an opportunity to transcode it. Thought about it, but then forgot about it. Anyway, what the video showed is that you're going to be able to draw out your coffee plantations. You can still plant them individually, but you may be, well, you not maybe, you will be able to draw out, like you can draw out a rice field, you can draw out a coffee area, and you can also, as I mentioned in the video, I wish I'd known this earlier, you can also now draw out grape and olive areas. So that'll be added and patched into the game and available, sounds like, to those that don't have the DLC. I'm going to see if I can remotely play this thing. Let's see. Yeah, this might work. All right, here we go. All right, so here's the gameplay video. There's no audio, but what we're showing here is, or what they're demonstrating here, is that you now have the ability to basically draw your coffee plantation, and the system will calculate out where to plant the various coffee beans, and you can now specify the angle that you want these rows to be in and how much it's going to cost, and then presto, the system just puts them in place. And what they mentioned during this portion of FarmCon is that you're going to be able to do that with grapes and olives also. So that was cool. That was cool to find out and hear. Well, at FarmCon, they did announce that you're going to have a 2-row John Deere sugarcane harvester. Also, you're going to have a new 8RX and an 8R that's going to be part of the DLC. There's going to be a new John Deere corn planter that will allow direct planting. But Fox, Glove, Fairy, you're not going to find me using a John Deere tractor. Period. But use whatever you want. It is a lot easier, and quite frankly, it would have been nice if it was that way from the beginning. But I know you've been around a while, Steve the farmer, and probably remember the horrible way that we had to place fences and gates in FS19 by section, and trying to line all those up by section was near on impossible. So in 22, where they came out with the drawable fences, was like, holy cow, my life is so much easier now. So this is kind of the evolution, taking the rice paddy concept of where you drew out the rice field and it leveled it and did all that other jazz. Take that concept and put it into putting down coffee plants, grapevines, or olive trees. There's going to be 6 new farmhouses with the DLC, all with interiors. We're going to be able to go inside all of those farmhouses. Quite frankly, I think every Giants farmhouse should have an interior. And apparently, with the expansion, there's also now going to be a concept of being able to spruce those buildings up by repainting the outsides. And over time, that paint will start to weather and flake off. And you can choose to then, after some period of time, repaint your farmhouse or other farmhouses or other structures around the map. Or you can just leave them weathered and dingy looking. It's up to you. To that end, you can now make paint as a production. And they said that paint is going to be made by providing dye and resin. Resin is going to be a part of your lumber process, so your sawmill. Will somehow produce resin. And then you're going to dye your paint with various things like copper, iron ore, beetroot, spinach, wood chips, coffee, beans, and other things. So that got me thinking, copper and iron ore, are we gonna have, you know, some sort of mining operation? I don't think we're going to. I think really what we should read into that is we're gonna have a copper mine that's just gonna spew copper on the ground. Just like we have an iron ore mine that spews iron on the ground. What we've got here are some empty crates for our cherries. We're going to deliver these over to our cherry plantation and our cherry packer. And we're going to basically pack pallets of trays of cherries. Oh, bad things have happened. Oh boy. Oh boy. Only in Farm Sim would this happen. Alright. Where is our vehicle? Where is it? Flip vehicle. Load our vehicle. There we go. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to, you know, deliver yellow paint and then suddenly repaint our house yellow. That would be an interesting concept for sure. One thing they didn't really go into was how much time passes before your freshly painted building looks weathered. I'll show you about another new gameplay element once we get here to our cherry orchard. I do wish Giants would provide more video from the show. There was a segment, or a couple of different segments during the FarmCon where I think they had what they called a creator clash, but really, from what I understand, it was Farm Sim Family Feud with, I think, 2 teams of creators in Family Feud style. And they were basically having to answer survey questions about Farm Sim. And I really wish they would publish that. Let's back this thing up. Kenzo, I'm doing great. We're doing good tonight. Okay. And let's get this thing running. Pack my strawberry, no, pack my cherries. All right, now with our cherry thing running, let's go back here and show the next interesting gameplay feature of the FarmCon. That was fungicide. Our coffee beans developed a leaf fungi, a leaf infection. And we have to use fungicide in order to clear that up. And we have a new sprayer in order to do that. And this sprayer is going to be able to do 2 rows at a time. And we have a nice little small John Deere tractor that's going to be part of the pack in order to get in between those rows. Now, this video was obviously provided to us, and I didn't really notice this little detail. But if you pay attention to the sprayer and the tractor, during the FarmCon presentation, they talked about how now the sprayer and the tractor are going to move independently of each other. So first off, right, we are able to GPS now, and it's going to detect that. And you can see the tractor's wiggling, the sprayer's wiggling, but they're not wiggling at the same rate at the same time. So the attacher joints have flexibility now to them. And this is new. Before, something attached on the 3-point hitch would basically move at the same rate, at the same time as the tractor. Now, they didn't really pick up, or at least I didn't pick up, that they talked that your grapes and olives could also get this disease and need to be sprayed. They did imply that this is something you're going to have to do once a year. So you're going to have to spray your coffee once a year. And it sounded like it was also something that could be turned off. So just like plowing, just like weeds and other things, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. What's up, Lonnie? Thank you for being a member for 29 months. Indeed, for trucks. We're going to get to that here in a little bit. We know we're going to have access to at least one Ford truck. Kind of a flatbed pickup truck. Now, there was a pretty long segment that was way over my head that was excluded from the video we were provided, that related to the Giants editor and basically stuff about buildings, stuff about rain, moisture, stuff about road texturing, building shaders and things. Like I said, way over my head. But the big takeaway is that when it rains on the new map, you're going to see dirt is going to change color because it's going to collect the moisture. It's going to be porous. It's going to absorb the moisture. And as a result, it's going to change color from being wet. You're also going to see puddles outside the road on other hard surfaces. Water is going to puddle. On non-porous surfaces, like your metals, your steel, just generally anything that won't absorb water, you're not going to see things change in color. But what you will see is that oh shoot. What you will see is basically they'll be shiny now. So they'll develop a shine, a hue to them. I messed up big time. Fill me some honey. Yeah, we messed up. All right, we'll just have to cheat. We'll just have to cheat. So beehive, no. I need to spawn one of these totes for the honeycomb. If I can even do it. I don't want filled. I want it honeycomb empty. That is empty honeycombs. Alright, we're not going to be able to do that. I messed up. I'll explain what I did. What I did is I didn't watch my own video. Because I forgot how honeybees work. What's up, Schultz? So, basically, with the Giants editor stuff and the water, we're getting closer, I think, to what I've wanted to see since they added rain and stuff. And that is to be able to have like wet concrete and have a delineation between wet and dry concrete, you know, at the edge of a roof. And I think we're getting close to that with this expansion capabilities and what's being built into the map with respect to how the game handles wet surfaces. So I was saying the dirt will get darker. Obviously there will be puddles in the dirt. There will be puddles on the roads. There will be puddles on other hard surfaces like concrete. Non-porous surfaces will get shiny and will be glossy because there'll be water will pool and the surface will be wet, but it won't absorb the moisture. Porous surfaces like bricks can change color because they get wet and absorb the water. So we'll see sides of buildings or other materials changing color as they go from wet to dry and dry to wet. So what I forgot to do, or what I didn't think about doing, is when we put full honeycomb in here to spin the honey out of it, we can't go and fill the bucket with more full honeycomb. We need to save it so that we can put our empty honeycomb back in it and then put those empty honeycombs back in our beehive. That's what happened to me. They also showed in the editor, like, map makers have now a lot more capability of blending texture on roads. Like here we have a very hard delineation between the road and not road. Between the road and not the road. It's a pretty hard delineation. What they showed in the editor is you can blend a lot of this stuff. You can blend the dirt on the road, and you can make this road either pristine, clean. You can make it entirely a dirt road if you want, and a bunch of other things. And it's all by manipulating settings in Giants Editor. Above my level of understanding and everything, but that was pretty neat. Let's go back here and talk about harvesting cherries. We aren't harvesting coffee beans. We're harvesting coffee cherries. So basically fruit. And they don't become coffee beans until those cherries are dried out. Right, very similar to our grape and olives. We're going to run the bush, tree, whatever you want to call it, through the middle of the harvester. We've got spinning fingers to basically squeeze the plant into the harvester and take all the cherries off the plant. If you look close, you can see how the plants are basically going into the harvester, kind of being squeezed together. So that's kind of a cool new animation that's part of this pack. The output here of the leaves, they talked about during the FarmCon presentation about doing some sort of air physics, and you can see that these leaves are kind of, they're not just shooting out in a row, they're just kind of scattering when they get out there, as leaves would do as they catch air different ways. They're going to fly in different patterns. Sound like now when you have leaves spewing out of things, it's just going to spew out linearly, where now they're going to spew out more randomly. We've got a very basic New Holland tractor, open cab with a roof, a new dump trailer specifically for coffee cherries, what's up, Farmer G? And then lots of cool animations of the unloading. Again, more of these leaves flying off in kind of random directions. This structure over here to our left is going to be a sell point unless we buy it. And then if we buy it, it's going to be a production to clean and dry these cherries into beans. Okay. They talked about updating the particle physics. So we don't have the pom-poms anymore when we unload things. Right, a bit more natural looking. And you can see how this stuff is moving around as we unload. Again, that script and the weight physics from the Sky Ag Pack coming into play here with beans and alpacas also. Like I mentioned, they said that this is a sell point unless you buy it. Then if you buy it, it's production to basically dry those cherries into beans. And we've already seen a really cool animation of this facility as the beans or the cherries go into these vats. And then we have the stirring. You see the animation of these beans being stirred. And we've got different things on the conveyor basically swinging out to divert the cherries from one container into the next. And then Ford, as mentioned, Ford Ranger XL is going to be included. What other Ford vehicles might still yet to be announced? Hard to say. But that was obviously a pretty big takeaway also. Oh, let's drop this off. Choose this little farm on 90. Let's run back to the shop. I want to show you a little round baler. We've got baby square bales. We can also make baby round bales now. But that's with the LSFM mini farm equipment pack. Again, this map and most of the stuff you're seeing demonstrated here during the live stream is coming from the LSFM modding website. I do need to put a video together on downloading the map now that they've changed their download procedure a bit. Started working on that, and then some maps came out, so we got kind of distracted. That's something else, Schultz, I wish they would publish is the Q&A sessions. I didn't pick up that it was only the Ranger from the presentation. But obviously, if you're there, you can ask more clarity. And it'd be nice if they would publish that so everyone would have that information. As opposed to the privileged few that could actually attend. Kenzo, there's lots of Brazilian maps out there, and this new map is going to be Brazilian in intent. You're going to have to get used to a southern hemisphere calendar where March is summer or spring. No, March is summer, and summer, like June and July, is winter. So here we have a little mini round baler. Yeah, it's basically the opposite for us. So, northern hemisphere, spring is autumn, summer is winter, and fall is spring, and winter is summer. What gets me is the idea that Christmas is in the middle of summer. Right? That would really mess with my head. So I talked about this little mini ag pack. Let's show you what's included. So we've got this tractor up at the winery we've been using. We're driving that one right now. We've got a little trailer that we can run behind these small tractors. A little mini liquid tanker. An old school either wooden platform or galvanized tank. That's pretty cool. We use this to collect our cherries. We've used this to push livestock around. A little mini sprayer. And then we have a little mower. That cute little mower. A little... What the heck is this? Basket for... Oh, it's a little forage wagon. It'll collect grass. You got a little cultivator, little disc harrow, little mulcher, and we got our side by side, which I think we can probably equip. There you go, with 3-point. Same with our gator. We get a little front loader, little implements for the front loader. Another little mower for the front loader. Snow blower. This one's cool. Little container that you can either push or attach to a loader with an attachment. You got your little mini baby baler, little mini baby baler wrapper, a little miniature manure spreader, a rear deck, and what appears to be a trailer set up for transporting your little pallets. Of course, we also now have announced the return of the mod contest. It's going to run until April 2027, at which time the entrants will be going up for awards. We will have, as a community, the ability to rate and rank the mods submitted to the contest, including maps, I think from March until April. We talked about select modders, select content creators, and I assume partners would be involved in the rating of mods as well. What it sounds like with respect to rules, if you are part of the contest, then obviously you're not able to enter. So creators, modders who will be part of the evaluation jury won't be able to enter the contest themselves, so they kind of probably already know if they're going to be part of the contest or if they're going to be judging the contest. Otherwise, they might be wasting time by coming up with mod ideas. Sadly, yours truly was not approached to be a judge or in the jury when it comes to maps. I kind of feel that that's a little bit of an oversight. Look at the little baby Bale. How big is this thing? 2,200 liters. And I can pick it up. It only weighs 60 kilograms. That's cool. So, I have got to believe that, look in the description. Easy peasy. I'm not a creator that hides things from everybody. Everything's in the description. So, I got a feeling that gold partners are going to be involved with the jury. That would be my impression, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now, related to the mod contest, there is a new channel over at the Giants Discord, specific for Q&A related to the mod contest. So if you are looking to enter, it would be good to not only go check that out now, but keep an eye out for other Q&A entries in that Discord channel. There's some other North American gold partners. Sadly, your level of partner is only based on the amount of games that you sell or the amount of product you sell through the eShop. There's no representation of anything else. Which basically means if you had enough money, you could buy your way to being a gold partner by simply buying enough copies yourself. Well, noob, we are playing Farm Sim on a fabulous map. We were just demonstrating the small baby baler. That's part of the mini ag pack. I made a little bale and then I decided I wasn't going to bale the rest of the field up. So I brought it back here. And I'm going to chuck it in with my chickens. If I can get it through the door. There we go. No, no super strength. We go here. You can see. Oh, that bale was only 60 kilograms. Oh, anybody play with the with a mod conflict checker? What is it called? Mod, what's it called? Mod something. Mod dashboard? Came out the other day. I'm looking it up. Mod mixer. Here we go. The mod mixer. Basically, it'll tell you what's in conflict with other things, how to rearrange things such that you minimize your conflicts. Just for funsies, I downloaded this and added it to this game save, and I can happily report that this game save with the mods that I'm using have no conflicts. So if you are using this map and things aren't working as they are demonstrated in my videos, rest assured you probably got a conflict, and as such, you should use that mod to figure out what that conflict is. There. Let's park that. And let's talk about the next gameplay element talked about at FarmCon. That is alpacas. And we're going to be able to basically walk our alpacas around. And we're going to be able to shear our alpacas. So that one, let's go back here real quick. This one doesn't have a lot of hair. It's been sheared. This one, oh, we got baby packas, right? This one is full fur, right? We need to cut this one. And there's a new indicator down here, happiness. So we basically need to lead our alpaca. And as we walk our alpaca around, it will increase its happiness. So similar to riding horses or brushing them is leading alpacas around. Now, I'm not a fan of this shearing minigame. I think it looks cheesy. It looks stupid, cheesy. I agree. There was a commenter thought that it felt like this was childish. During FarmCon, they talked about using a mini game for fishing, which I'm fine with because you could never fish. Fishing is like a side activity. Shearing your alpacas isn't a side activity. If you have these guys, you need to do it. I would rather have seen them shearing like you brush your horse than to jump into this little screen where you shear a little cartoon drawing of an alpaca. Now, apparently, you will be able to hire someone to come and shear them for you once a year in the spring. So that's cool. Like, if you don't want to do that silly shearing activity, you can just hire someone to come shear them for you for a little bit of money. This is a new John Deere sugarcane harvester, 2-row sugarcane harvester. So you're going to be able to harvest twice as fast or twice as much pain and agony at this thing not getting around the field like you expect it to. But again, like this timestamp or this watermark says, it's a work in progress. Maybe that'll change if they get enough feedback that people don't like this shearing mini game that it will change. We also get a new Mercedes truck with lots of different configuration options. Jump ahead. Sugarcane has new textures, new animations for harvesting and such. So that's cool. New particle physics, particle unloading animations. So again, we don't have those pom-poms that we had. And as I've mentioned earlier, lots of the equipment in this pack will have the new enhanced weight physics or enhanced weight scripting like the Sky Ag Pack has. So if we watch these unload, you'll see these containers when they get up to their full extent and flip over. When the motion stops, they rock. Because of course, one, that's a lot of weight way up there. And two, you know, conservation of momentum. It's moving and then suddenly it stops. It's going to want to keep moving. And that's what we see. It's like you don't realize how unrealistic the game is now, visually, with respect to unloading something like this, until you see this method of unloading, and you're like, yeah, that's a lot better. That feels better, looks better than what we have now. And then, yeah, they showed this. Yada, yada, yada. Some new John Deere thing. People get excited about it for some reason. What's cool about this one is you do different road tracks on your tracks, different width tracks. The rear fenders can be liquid fertilizer tankers. That's how it's equipped here. And there's a hose that is going to the planter. So we're able to apply liquid fertilizer via these tanks to the planter. The planter also can hold solid fertilizer. And we can now no-till plant our corn. I don't recall if there's any other like direct seed drills for corn in the game at this point, or if this will be the first. So there you go, you can see he's putting corn in the ground, and we haven't worked the soil. We also get a new 8R for those that care, and EU and US configs on these tractors. I'm going to stop here. So we also have the new Valtra BH4, part of the pack. The New Holland T8 series, which is part of the pack. Well, we can see this here. Don't know what this is yet, but we can see that's part of the pack. Don't know what that is either. At any rate, that's kind of the gameplay preview. Let's go back and this. We need to go make some round bales eventually. See, that's the pom-poms. We've seen that for a few game versions. I'll be glad to see that go away. More pom-poms. Wash. Okay. Go back over here. What's up, Low Ride Farmer? Is this empty? No, we got wine in it. Okay. Let's jack up our pallet. Move it around with our pallet jack. And let's get you going. Put this thing back. And send you downstairs. This thing cranked up. Oh no, what happened? And yeah, alright, we're out of grape wine. There, that's the little LSFM tracker. I just painted mine blue. And it's New Holland. Oh, the other farm is just smaller. So it's right up here. Alright, so you got like your chicken coop in there. That's road access there. You've got like pigs. You got your farm silo. That's like for water. You got your farmhouse over here. Some buildings and such. And then you have cows over here on this hillside. This is another entry into the farm. It's just to give you a second option, or if you play this in multiplayer, right, you and a friend, the friend could operate here. So that's the second farm right there, right by the brewery. So it's conveniently right by the brewery. Yeah, nothing really to make it distinctly stand out. Let me see here. Back to our stuff announced at FarmCon presentation. In the next patch leading up to the beans and alpaca release, grapes and olives will be able to be planted at any time during the year. Right now you're limited when you can plant things. When we get up here to the field, we'll play a little bit of our map video. If for any reason you haven't seen that, we'll show that off and talk a bit about it. And well, you can also take this opportunity, now that we're about an hour into our stream, to once again talk about, we were going to be live over at the Sim Gaming Expo channel tonight. Things didn't work out. I went live, and 20 seconds into going live, my system just crashed and restarted. So I wasn't able to restart the stream over on that channel. So we're kind of over here. So I was like, I'm not going to not stream. We just moved over to this channel. But at any rate, Sim Gaming Expo is going to be September 18th through 20th. Just outside Chicago in Shamsburg, Illinois, at the Renaissance Convention Center. This is going to be the second annual Sim Gaming Expo. And unlike other expos held this year that I attended, like the Sim Racing Expo, this is going to be about far more than just racing. Now, racing is going to be a big part of it because sim racing is a huge segment of simulation-based gaming. But as we've seen already from some of these clips from last year's show, the show's also about flight sim. It's also about train sim. It's also about truck sim. some degree. It'll be about Farm Sim. I'm going to do a community meetup Saturday, September 19th, 2 p.m. at the show. Anyone who enjoys Farm Sim can come check out, be a part of the meetup, meet me, hopefully meet other creators that are also going to be there, part of the show. I basically did an open invite to other folks that I do know basically do make Farm Sim content to come and be a part of that particular meetup. But it's going to be a lot bigger than the first show. Big names have been announced, with the biggest so far being Newegg is going to be a part of the show. Official sponsor of the show, Moser Racing, Fantech. Newegg. It's going to be lots of cool things related to train sim, flight sim, golf sim, other and all sim-based games are going to be represented here at the show. If you can make it, definitely come out and be a part of it. Still going to be rooms at the convention center, basically right next to it. This is attached to the convention center, so you don't have to go anywhere. Register for 1 day, register for 3 days, register for 2 days, whatever you want to do. Again, Sim Gaming Expo, September 18th, 19th, and 20th. See some of the special guests that are going to be there, including myself. All right, let's talk about the map. South American map. So 6 farmhouses. All of them have interiors. This is one of them. This is going to be our main starting farm. We can see here, I can't zoom in, but this talks about dinosaur bones being unearthed. Dinosaurs are going to be the collectible on this map. I don't know how you're going to find dinosaurs. Maybe you're just going to find a little bit of a bone sticking up out of the ground, and you're going to be able to dig them up, air quote, dig them up. We don't know what that mechanic's going to look like. But yeah, dinosaurs are going to be the collectible here on this map. Foosball, that'd be cool if we could play that. Whoa, 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 go back. What? This is playing something. This TV is playing something. Look here. Look here. I just noticed this. Watch this TV. That's video that's playing. That is moving, whatever that is. That's walking. How do we playback speed? Playback speed slower. All right, half speed. Watch this TV. This is moving. Junky. Any rate, normal. Something was showing on that TV that was moving. That was pretty cool. We get a little glimpse here of possible starting machinery. Raznak with your 63-month Farm Baron membership. This looks new. This looks like a 3-wheeled little cart thing. Silo. Oh, Walter's there. Jeez, he's going to be freaking people out. The video is the South American beans and alpaca map. If that's what you're talking about. If you're talking about this, that we're playing, that's Bergmann. So this is Bergmann. This is the South American map. So this is what's beans and alpacas. So this video was provided to us last week before FarmCon, and this was shown at FarmCon. We weren't given any context as to what was being shown, and I'm kind of trying to provide more context now that we have that after the FarmCon presentation. This structure coming up here on the left is going to be basically our coffee roasting plant. Part of our coffee production. David, thank you for becoming a farmhand. This is a different David. I think this is a different David. So here we have the main road, and we're going to make a left here. 2 different fuel stations. This is the smaller of the 2 fuel stations. And like I mentioned, there was a presentation that we don't have the video for that talked about new features of Giants Editor in the map and the game, where map makers can go into lots of detail on blending textures on roads and around roads, which the average player isn't going to pick up. They're going to be like, the game's no different than before. Well, the game's a lot different than before. It's just the level of sophistication is above you. It's above me. I didn't understand a darn thing that was talked about either during the Giants Editor portion. Just that there's going to be a lot greater capability to map makers to customize things. Up here on the right, we have coffee plantation. We saw in the gameplay preview earlier in the stream where you're going to be able to draw out the boundary of your coffee fields, similar now to how you draw out the boundary of your rice fields. And it was mentioned in the FarmCon presentation that that feature is going to be extended to grapes and olives. So once this releases, you'll be able to draw out your grape and olives just like you can draw out your coffee. And then they had a really big presentation on the interior of buildings where you can like swap out room things. This red roof structure is going to be a coffee cherry dryer. Apparently, coffee beans aren't beans until they're dry. This structure here on the left is apparently a paint factory, and that's what we're transporting here in our Gator, are buckets of paint. The paint factory is going to be able to take dye. Dye is going to come from various crops and other things that you're going to be able to extract from the map, and resin, which is going to be extracted through trees in some way, and you're going to be able to make paint. And then you're going to be able to paint buildings. You're going to be able to repaint your farmhouses, and you're going to be able to paint things like this structure up here on the hill. And that's what we're going to go to here real quick. So we can see as we approach this, the building's been around a while. Weather. It could use a fresh coat of paint. And that's exactly what we're going to do. There's a trigger down here now that has a paintbrush. And there, pause it. Right, you can see the weathering under the windows here and everything. Right? Everything looks blah. And let's jump forward a bit. So here we have our dirty building. And we've now painted it. It now looks pretty. Well, let's fast forward a lot, and you'll see it's starting to weather again. Things are starting to get a little dingier. And then over time, you'll be able to repaint it. There we go. Now we're getting some weathering back. Up here, it's really dirty. Up here in the towers, the corners, you can see, right? It's really grimy and grungy up there. There we go. Now we're back to dirt. This also is going to extend to farmhouses. This is one of the farmhouses that we can have. It needs some serious paint work done. And now it's repainted. And as we fast forward, again, more time, it's going to get grimy again. It's going to start to chip off. It's going to get lots of weather. You get to decide, do you want to live in a nice, freshly painted house, or do you want to live in a, well, we've clearly seen better days type of farmhouse. So that's that. This is where they were demonstrating the new wetness aspect of the game and the DLC. So we can see we've got water puddles on the road. Not so much new, but here we have what we're going to also see is the dirt here is now a darker red. We have water puddles also on hard surfaces like concrete. Right, we get a big water puddle over here on concrete. Our buildings. Porous substances like brick or dirt, something that would absorb water, can change color when it rains because it gets wet, it gets darker. Things that are not porous won't get darker, they'll get shiny because water is pooling or water is collecting on the surface. So that's kind of interesting. You'll see how some of the light is going to reflect off some of these road surfaces and other things like metal, glass. And then they jumped into a big Giants editor demo of basically different structures, different material types, and if they're wet or not wet, and all those things. Like I said, a lot of that went right over my head, and it was not video that was included to us, because again, we wouldn't have any context as to what they were showing off in Giants editor. And then lastly, I was correct with respect to this building that's back here in the woods. This is a constructible project, and it's built now for this video, but you're going to be able to build this out. It's called a research center, and there's going to be informational boards about local flora, fauna, information boards about crops and farming practices in the area, information about alpacas we saw there, and possibly maybe this is also where, as we collect dino bones, they'll appear, although I kind of think they're going to appear in town as opposed to out here in the middle of the jungle. But yeah, that's the map preview, or basically the video that we were provided. Now with context that we've been able to watch the FARMCon presentations. Let's get back to baling. I mean, we wouldn't bale wet straw, but hey. We play realistic when it fits our needs. Ted, you may have saved a ton of money by buying the thing a month ago, because it sounds like console prices are just going to be going up and up and up, as anything that's going to have memory. GPU prices are slated to skyrocket here. Not that I would suggest anyone go out and buy GPU now, because the prices are awful to begin with. But if you need a GPU and you've just been holding out waiting for prices to go down, they're not ever in the short term. Maybe next decade, maybe next 2030, 2031 they'll go down, but it sounds like they're going to go up significantly in price as GPU manufacturers kind of recenter retail to reflect the chip market, even though we haven't paid retail for a GPU in years. That retail price that we don't pay, because we pay an inflated price, is going to go up, which means the inflated price is going to go up too. I think it's going to be like gas. It'll go down. It just won't go down to pre-inflated levels unless there's some outside influence. I mean, there's a ton of talk about price fixing and everything with these chip makers, because a lot of their behavior is counterintuitive. Typically, when you have a shortage, you increase production because you realize that the market could bear more than it has, and if you made more, you would sell more. But instead, companies have realized there's a shortage and reduced production to just enhance the shortage, seemingly willingly foregoing easy profit for the sake of not making chips. Now, of course, they'll say, we've diverted all that production to this other type of chip. And they have. Because they can sell that other type of chip for insane, exorbitant rates. But that chip, in theory, is less profitable because there's greater loss, there's less yield, and to some degree it's opening the market up to startup chip manufacturing, or people that have been outside the big three or big four try to swoop and collect on some of the things that the big 3 and 4 don't seem to care about anymore. But at work I bought a bunch of laptops, around $1,500 piece in April. I priced out the exact config laptop a week ago, and it was $500 more. Drew, what do you mean? See your messages. I see one of them up there was removed. I didn't go to FarmCon, so the only thing I have to say about FarmCon is the videos they released. And we just kind of ran through that information. I've told Giants it would be great if they would provide partners with context as to what's being talked about at FarmCon, so we can talk about it and talk to it, as opposed to simply being provided the video and left to our own devices to figure out what's being shown, which opens up to misinformation. Am I speaking to deaf ears? Sometimes I think so. They didn't really mention any specific details about the Ford license. It was hinted that maybe just that truck was licensed. So, unless Giants releases the Oh, Raz. Why didn't you say that earlier? Somehow I've been muted. How long have I been muted? How long has this mic been muted? What's the last thing you heard me say? Oh. No, I wasn't doing a number 2. I said the closest micro center to me is like 2.5, 3 hours away, each way. I was talking about GPU prices going up significantly. I was saying that I really didn't have a recent favorite mod because I haven't added too many things or really looked at too many things. But the mod checker mod looked pretty cool. I added it to this game save and had no conflicts. All right, yeah, I must have muted it to take a drink real quick and then just forgot to unmute it. I was saying if you can make a micro center trip, probably be definitely worth doing. Tonefish, what do you mean by setting up? I mean, typically I just start the game save with the equipment that you included at the starting farm. and start from there. There's just so much to do on this map. It's more or less start slow and you know, work your way up and add things. But so much of this map requires specific machinery and specific tools. Like selling everything could set yourself up to just have to rebuy it. Oh, yeah, give me that one. I mean, Tonefish, what do you typically do when you start a new map? Oh, we went the wrong way. Wrong way, Charlie. I mean, the new Intel chips aren't so bad for gaming. Oh, we took another wrong turn. I'd say it really depends on the bundles or what's priced on any one given day. Tonefish, no. I mean, everything works the way I expect it to work. But then again, I've got a very long playlist of how do things work on this map. I mean, I wouldn't roll into this map expecting things to work the way they work on every other farm sim map. And like I said, I would suggest starting slow and working your way up so as to not get super overwhelmed. Like when I started this stream, we were collecting cherries from our cherry trees and putting them into a production to palletize those cherries. Then we went over to our honeybees to extract some honey from the honeycomb. And then we had to deal with the straw the other day. I would be cautious about the 9070 GRE versus the 9070 or the 9070 XT. The GRE is cheaper, but it's also cut down, so it's not as performant. So just be aware of what you might be getting. There is an autumn update plan for October, I think. I wouldn't say autumn, August, because gosh, we're in August. Let's see here. October. Yeah, so there's a planned update in October. See, I can read German. Or I can just do this. Secure your autumn update in October. Oh, what is this? I mean, like this system. I've got a 4070 Ti Coupa in it. I've had that GPU for a couple years now. It's paired up with what I call a Frankenstein motherboard from China. That is basically a 14900HX, which is a mobile CPU on a mini ATX board. So I got cores for days. I mean, look at this. We got 24 cores, 32 processors. I can do hardware encoding and never have to worry about CPU overhead. In fact, I might be doing hardware encoding now. No. GPU encoding, but anyway. I just built a couple months ago a system for when I travel that has a 12800 mobile chip in it and a 9060 XT GPU. It runs great. It runs pretty much anything I want to run at 1080. I should hopefully be able to record and stream or record a high quality map video when traveling now. I've been able to do that for a long time. There we go. All right. Give me honey. Open says me. Give me honey. Dump honey in her bottler. Let's put our honeycomb back. Put our honeycombs back in here. Lid. Turn it on. All right. Let's go check out our cherries. I like how we have both those in that area, and then we have these kind of wild hives. We're gonna run back over here to our cherries, and then we'll close out for the night. Like I said, we were gonna stream over at Sim Gaming Expo's channel, but things didn't work out quite as expected. 18 seconds into the stream, my system said, nope, you're gonna reboot. And system up and restarted. By the time I got it back up and running and everything ready to go, YouTube had closed out the stream and I wasn't able to start another stream. So that left me kind of in a lurch. Things would have went okay if we didn't have the restart. There we go. Who takes our packed cherries? The supermarket. Do you also take honey? I hope so. Oh, goody. Let's go. Let's go. Whoa. Oh my gosh. Well, the only thing I would say, Raz, is I messed with a possible 2 machine setup before Farm Sim 25 came out, and it pretty significantly complexes things up. It makes things a lot more complex because you have to get your obviously your video out of your main gaming setup. You also have to get your game audio out of your main gaming setup over to the other station. You've got to monitor the other system because, of course, you got to know that the video and audio is going in. You've got to route your mic audio into the streaming setup, right? The old PC, because that's what's going to be doing the muxing between the game video and your audio. And then you need to basically monitor through your headset the game audio, your mic audio, and there's always the potential of getting the video and audio out of sync, I think. For me, the level of complexity just wasn't worth it. And quite frankly, with the amount of cores and threads modern CPUs can do, you could AV1 encode your stream through the CPU. Still have plenty of cores for gameplay, and reserve your GPU just for game rendering. Like, it's a completely different scenario if you only had like 6 cores and you didn't have an abundance of resources. Alright, let's see what we get for 3,000 cherries and 2 units of honey. $16,200 basically. And folks, with that, we're going to say good night to all of you. Thank you for coming out, hanging out for the last couple hours as we've been playing here on Bergmann, running down through the gameplay and the map preview from FarmCon, and providing some more context based on the official Giants FarmCon presentations that they released over at their Farm Sim YouTube channel earlier this week. Again, we're going to be traveling to Sim Gaming Expo September 18th, 19th, and 20th, just outside of Chicago, Illinois. If by chance you have any opportunity to attend, I would encourage you to attend Saturday, because I'll also be doing a community meetup Saturday afternoon at the show. Love to meet up with whomever might be able to make it, and I think you'll really enjoy the show because it's all about everything and anything sim-based gaming, as opposed to like other shows that are going to be focused on very specific things like sim racing. Until next time, happy farming.